Hello, subject. We thank you for your time and application to be a volunteer for the P.I.E experiment. P.I.E stands for Phobia Informational Experiment. As stated, we will be playing you a variety of sounds, personal accounts, and videos that show triggers of common phobias. After the content has been shown to you, you will then rate your comfort levels from a 1 to a 10. 1 meaning the content did not affect you, and 10 meaning the content did upset you. Please try to answer honestly. If at any time you wish to pause the experiment, please say or write the word traffic light. Everything will be paused when this word is said, and you may explain how you would like us to proceed. Please keep that in mind as we begin. Playing vocal statement of recounting an infestation within her flat. Phobia type, arachnophobia. Statement begins. So I just talk, right?
Yes, into the mic, please, so the volunteer can hear you.
I don't really understand why I need to do this.
You will do as directed.
Okay. I guess, I used to live in a flat near my campus. Like most student flats, it was kind of a nightmare. Chipping paint, strange mold, and messy roommates. But there was one that I always liked. Willow. But everyone called him Will. I liked Will for many reasons. He was clean and polite and kinda good looking. But the best thing about him was that he killed spiders. Spiders. I hate the things. Whenever I saw one, I'd go running out of the room screaming for Will, begging for him to come deal with the creepy crawly that dared to disturb me. I loved him for that. I wish I had done something more to help him, like how he helped me. Anyway, it happened when I was getting ready for class on a Tuesday, the 11th of October, I think. I was in the bathroom fixing my hair when I saw it. A hairy, ugly, creepy, crawly, just hanging out on the wall. I screamed and began my usual parade of yelling and screaming for Will to come and deal with it. He chuckled and walked down the hall, holding what looked like a very heavy book. He walked in and shut the door behind him. Thwack! A loud and sharp noise. It had no hesitation or fear behind it. Then he turned the doorknob and walked out of the bathroom. I thanked him and walked back in, only to freeze in fear. I felt my blood boil as the creature's beady little eyes stared back at me. I swear it looked like the thing was smiling in triumph. I ran out again and yelled at Will, saying he missed it. Will, who was halfway down the hall, turned on his heels, promising me that he didn't. But he entered the bathroom and blinked in surprise as he told me, oh, he must have missed it. Thwack! Again the noise rattled the flat, and out he came. I entered the bathroom a little more skittishly this time, and as I did I started to pout and whine as I poked my head back out the door and told him once again that if this was some cruel joke, I was not in the mood. He promised it wasn't, and he joined me into the bathroom. We both stared at the spider. Bull told me that it must have been a different spider, that he did definitely kill the first two. He readied his book again and stepped forward. I watched him smack the wall once again. Thwack and crack. He had created a small crack in our wall. Shit, he muttered under his breath. I remember chuckling and saying something about losing our deposit. But almost halfway through my remark, we saw spindly little legs poking out from the mirror. Out popped the spider. its large form squished by the glass, and then popping back to its full size once it was free from the wall. Will looked at me with a "I told you so" glance, but I was just horrified at the thought of a nest of spiders behind our mirror. He walked forward and reached for the glass. I assume he wanted to lift it up, maybe see if there was an infestation. Honestly, that would have been preferable to what happened next. What came pouring out of that small gap where the wall met the glass? Like black tar, thousands upon thousands of spiders began to descend onto Will. Their tiny legs scuttled up his limbs, and then to his neck and his head. I had never seen Will scared before. He was such a fearless person, but as the spiders advanced onto his face, he screamed. This only made things worse. As the spiders found his mouth, I watched as they crawled inside him, frozen with fear as they engulfed his body. Soon I couldn't even make it out. It was just a mass of legs and eyes. I only snapped out of my horror when they began to flow towards me. I ran out onto the street. Some poor lady that was out for a jog bumped into me. I cried and begged for help, but I couldn't actually explain what happened. I just kept hysterically yelling about eyes and legs and consumption. She called the police. I watched as the officers went into the house, and they pulled out Will. Spiders were still attached to his body and were now trying to attack the officers, but they seemed to be able to swat them off well enough. An ambulance took Will away, and I gave my legal statement, but they didn't seem all that impressed, and they just suggested I hire an exterminator, and that was that. Will returned a couple of days later, and aside from some spider bites, he was fine. I greeted him with a hug and was expecting some normal, witty banter about how he survived an attack or I don't know. But he just stared at me with distant eyes. Once I let go of him, he wordlessly walked past me and stared at the bathroom. No, he stared at the mirror. I had already had the house fumigated while Will was gone. There wasn't a bug in sight, yet there he stood. I chalked it up to him being traumatized, but the next morning I awoke and he was still there, hadn't moved. I walked over and shook him, but again, nothing. Eventually I got annoyed and I forced him to face me. All it took was one look at his face for me to want to move out, to pack my bags and leave. His eyes was what got me. They were darker. I know Will's eyes. I mean, I had a slight crush on him, right? They were green. They've always been green. So why were they black? And why did it look like a dark abyss within his eyes was growing, as if within seconds it was going to turn the whites of his eyes into inky darkness? I don't want to say it reminded me of spider eyes, because that would be insane. But all I do know is that is not Will. It's something else. It has to be, right?
Is that it?
Yes.
Good. We thank you for your time.
End of statement. Please rate your comfort levels from a 1 to a 10.